start by going to the tire jack mode. You can get to there by going to the apps, and then you may get this screen. Just scroll over and go to the settings. From settings, you'll have a bunch of options. Go down until you see suspension. Click on suspension. Then there'll be some more options for the suspension settings. You'll want to make sure the truck is in tire jack mode. So what tire jack mode does is essentially when you're changing out your tire, it disables any air movement between the bags. Make sure also then when you drive the truck afterwards, it is out of tire jack mode, which we'll go into after we reconnect the system.
Quick though.
Yes. So we're just disconnecting the front air strut right now, and you can kind of hear the nitrogen bleeding off. It's really just clearing the line that goes back to the valve block and whatever's in the air strut, but that's normal. So it's not draining out the whole system or anything. The nitrogen system won't have to be recharged if you only disconnect each component of the system one time. Once the air line's been disconnected from the front strut, remove the 3 nuts mounting the strut to the frame and remove the strut assembly from the truck. This is the airline fitting that Jeremy just took off of the front of the truck that connects the airline to the airbag. It goes right in here. Easy to put in backwards, so you want to make sure that the tapered end is going towards this fitting because it's got a tapered seat, and that's what tightens it down on the line as you tighten it down. If you put it in there backwards, it wouldn't work. Taper goes towards this fitting here. Yep. And so we provide new fittings in the kit. You're going to remove the white plastic retainer from it, just like that, and then you're going to want to attach it to the new line. Again, making sure that you put the taper towards this fitting. And then the other key part to this installation is how far down do you slide that ferrule onto the line. And you can see there he's got it at a 1/16, maybe a little bit more is exactly what you want. Because if you have too much line sticking through there, what can happen is it bottoms out on here and there's a little hole in there that the nitrogen flows through, and that'll end up blocking it if it's too far jammed in there. So you don't want to over tighten this because you'll end up smashing that O-ring that seals it off. So the factory torque spec is 44 inch-pounds on that.
27, 28, 44.
In the kit we replaced this 90-degree fitting with a new push connect. So we've got to take that off. You can see there's little clips here that hold that on. So all we're doing is trying to get something in there to pop it loose. Pull it right out. We're going to put hooking the push connect fitting right onto that. So these are the push to connect air fittings we supply in the kit for the airline extension to go through the strut spacer. And if you can see in there, there's those little teeth in there that grab the line. But once you install it, you've got to make sure you push it on all the way and then pull it back. And you can see that those teeth grab that line so that you can't pull it off. And that's how you know you've got a good seal on there.
Will it rotate?
It will rotate, yeah.
So you'll start by putting the strut into the mount. Make sure the 3 bolts line up. They'll only go one way, and then feed your bolts through. They're welded to the upper strut mount, and then use the provided nuts and washers to tighten down the 3 top strut mounts.
Check your connections. Good to go. So in the rear, we recommend that you disconnect the rear ride height sensor while you're installing the upper control arm bracket so that you don't overextend this linkage. The best way to do that is with this clip tool. You just take it in here, you can pop it right off just like that, and get it up out of your way.
Careful with your wrench not to break your plastic alignment tabs off. What you're hearing again is the nitrogen gas escaping from the line in the bag, but not the reservoir in the pump system. That is normal. You will hear that. bag's loose, you'll depress your retaining clips. Scooch it down, pull it out. The zip tie off the bag, we're going to check and make sure that the bag has stayed rolled on the end mounts. And this one has. This is what you want to see, this rolled edge where it sets like that. Also want to check your bottom mount. And that one is also on correctly. So we'll leave that until we reinstall. Okay, so we're going to sacrifice this ferrule here. The kit does come with new ones. The goal is to not scratch the plastic lines so you get a good seat with the new push-to-connect fitting. So you put a screwdriver in here and you're going to open this ferrule up. So it freely comes off the line. Try not to scratch it up.
Alright, so we'll show you the instability of the bag when the top and bottom mounts are not seated properly. First we'll put a little bit of air into it, then just cover it up with our thumb. So you'll see it's hard to have the bag go straight up and down because the bottom and top mount are not seated or not rolled over. You see the bag kind of just wants to go all over the place. So in order to fix this, if your bag is like this, where you see these metal rings and the bag is not rolled over, you want to put a little bit of air into the bag. And then you want to slowly push down and try and center it. You'll see now the bottom mount is rolled over properly. You want to try and do that to the top mount too. You can use your thumb to bleed off a little bit of air where necessary. So there you can see the bottom and the top mount are both rolled over properly. That way when they're reinstalled, the bags can inflate properly and have even distribution of air throughout. What'll happen if you don't have your ends rolled over, the bag can actually come off the lower mount. You'll see it actually may break your mount that goes onto the axle.
Verify your bag is rolled up onto the mounts, top and bottom. This notch will face forward on the lower seat, and the pins and clips will line up in our bracket. You don't want to pull the bag down. As you raise or lower the vehicle, the axle will come up to it, keeping the ends of the bag rolled. So now we connect our airline. Make sure you tug on the line to verify that the push to connect is locked in place.
So we're lowering the truck down to sit on the airbags, and then what we're going to do is lift up the boot and check to see that the bag is folded over the ends, top and bottom. And then what you're going to want to do is set the ride height from the center of the hub to the fender at about 25 inches. And what that does is ensures there's no pinches in the bag, so that when you air them up, it's going to fill up evenly. Fold it over, it's seated on the lower mount evenly. Same thing on the top. And there's no creases in the bags at all. You can see.
To start the airing up process, we'll begin by connecting the battery, and then just put the cover back onto it. After you got the battery reconnected, first thing we'll do, put the key into the ignition. The truck will get warmed up. So the truck may or may not be in tire jack mode again. We'll check just to verify. That way we can actually air up the system. Wait for the Uconnect to load. Again, we'll go to the apps, over to settings, check your suspension. Okay, we see the truck is not in tire jack mode, so we should be able to operate the air system. Again, make sure that the rear is sitting at between 24 and 25 inches for your ride height, and that your bags are properly seated on the upper and lower. Then all you do is just press the up button. Should be able to listen and hear the pump run, and then actually feel the truck raise up.
So if for some reason with this air suspension you got an error message or you thought the pressure was low, what you would have to do is take it into a dealer. They can plug it into their scan tool and read all of the system pressures. If they found that the pressure was low, right here is a fitting where you would have to plug in a nitrogen tank. It uses an R134 fitting, and then they could repressurize it for you.